Bright Cutie. Every student matters.
Hi students, welcome to the session. In this session, we are going to talk about the different skeletal parts that are there, and we are also going to talk about that what exactly is skeleton. In the previous session, we talked that how our body is able to make various kinds of movements and what role do joints play, right? Now we are going to talk about that the framework that we have, like for example, there is a definite shape of our body. We see that there is a definite shape of a dog and a cat and an elephant. So how does this happen, right? So we are going to talk about that. So the very first thing we need to understand is skeleton. So this is the student framework of our body, right? So framework, when we say, it means that the basic structure that is defined with the help of a skeleton. That means what kind of shape the skull will be, what kind of shape will the hands have and the legs have, then what is the shape of the chest cavity, and so on, right? This is what we call as the framework, and this framework is known as skeleton. Whenever we talk about skeleton as a framework, every organism, that is your living organism, that is your animals like dog, cat, elephants, human beings, and tiger, and all birds, all of these come under this framework, right? When we say framework, understand that the shape of say for example, if we take the example of birds, so the four limbs of the birds are modified as wings. The reason is again the framework that is formed, that is the type of skeleton they have, right? Now, first of all, whenever, let's understand, we already know, this is a part of the general knowledge quiz, that how many bones do an adult human beings have. So we know that there are total 206 bones in human beings. But when a human being is born, right, so at the birth, when we are seeing the human being as an infant, as a small young child, the total number of bones that are present at the time of birth are 305 bones. These bones fuse together and then they form 206. How this happens is that some of the bones are not fused together so that there is optimum growth, right? And as in when the child enters into adulthood, when it comes into adolescence, slowly the bones start getting fused together, and by the age of say 16, the bones have completely fused and they form the total number becomes 206 bones, right? So initially the bones are 305. Again, like the reason is so that optimum growth can be achieved. We know that from a very small child, we see that how the growth happens and how a very small infant of only a few inches becomes a few feet tall person. The reason is that the growth is seen in bones as well, right? So this non-fused bones, this number helps in this, right? Now, when we say that there is a particular structure, or for example, when we are studying this diagram, how do we know that what kind of bones are, or what is the shape of the bone? For example, if we talk about the hands, right? Over here you can see how the hands have different joints. In the previous section also we saw that our fingers also have joints. How do we know that? One of the ways in which we understand that there is a hard framework or there is a hard structure beneath our skin is by touching certain areas. For example, if we touch the temple part of our area, we know that under the skin there is something hard. We can also understand the size, but exactly how do we know that what is the shape, what is the structure of that? It is with the help of a visualizing aid. What is that visual aid that we use? Let's understand that. So let's understand that how do we visualize bones. Now, like I said, one way is to feel the bones that are present underneath the skin, but not every aspect of those, the structure of the bone can be seen. So visualization actually helps us in understanding the complete structure of the bone, and it also, this particular type also helps us in various other features. First of all, let's understand how does this happen. So the pictures that you are able to see over here, these are the X-ray images, right? These are what? These are your X-ray images which helps us in visualizing the bones that are present underneath the skin. These X-ray images are used by doctors when there is an accident to visualize that what kind of damage was inflicted upon the bones, right? So what does these X-ray images show? They show the shape and structure of bones, right? What kind of shape do the bones have? What is the structure of the bones, right? All of this we are able to understand with the help of these X-ray images. So these are what? These are the X-ray images. All of you must have maybe not yours, but somewhere in your family you must have one or the other X-rays. So what you can do is you can ask your father or your mother, meaning your parents or grandparents, if they have an X-ray report, and you can take them and you can see that how exactly does the X-ray look like. So this part which you are able to see, this faded part, this is actually the skin and the muscle portion, which is not visible in the X-ray. Only the hard part is quite visible, or rather it's easily, if you can understand the structure. To understand this further, that how this visualization helps, what you can do is you can feel the ankle part of your feet and then feel the fingers and see that how many bones can you count. Now over here, if we take an example of the finger, so we can count 1, 2 and 3, and we know wherever there is a joint, like for example we are able to bend our fingers from 2 points or rather 3 points, so we know that this and this are 2 separate bones, then this and this also are 2 separate bones. So in one finger we can say that there are 1, 2 and 3 bones. So this is something which you can compare from the X-ray, and you can see whether or not your assumption is correct, right? And this will help you in understanding the the importance of X-ray. Similarly, you can feel various parts of your body, and then you can think of how many bones might be present in those parts, and then look at the X-ray of those parts, right? If you have an X-ray available, it's well and fine. Otherwise, you can look it up in any book, right? And you'll be able to compare that whether or not your assumption was correct. With the help of this particular exercise, you will be able to understand the importance of X-ray. When we talk about importance of X-ray, we should not forget that this is one of the major or largely used medical equipment, especially in the cases of accidents. It plays a major role, because with the help of this X-ray imaging, the doctors are able to observe if your bones are fine or not, if there is any crack or if there is any fracture, and what they need to do about it, right? So this is the importance of visualization of bones. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to study about the bones of hand. So, to understand the bones of hand, feel the back of your palm, right? This is the back of our palm. So what you're going to do is you're going to feel the back of the palm, and what you can try and count the number of bones that might be there in your palm. Also, bend your fingers and look from where all parts your fingers are able to bend. For example, if you look at this particular video, you will be able to see this is an X-ray image of your, or X-ray photography of how the fingers are able to bend. And over here you can see that the fingers are able to bend at these parts, also on these parts and over here, right? And if you talk about the thumb, so you are able to bend it over here. So there are how many joints over here in the bone? So you can see there are 2 joints. Over here you can see 1 joint over here. And then this part over here also you will see that there is a joint, right? So this part is thumb, and that's why it has more accessibility. If you can see that this has a more accessibility as compared to these fingers, right? So when you feel it, you can understand, simply by feeling it, you will understand that how many types of, or so many different bones are present in your palm itself, right? Let's perform an activity, and it's a very simple activity. What you have to do is, you need a friend, and even you can do it in front of a mirror. Be very careful while doing the activity. First, you need to take a deep breath, right? And then hold it in. And you can hold it in for a while, as long as you can, and then feel the chest bones. Over here, you can see an example, right? So what will happen, that when you're holding your breath in, so what is happening over here is, when you are taking in a breath, you are expanding your chest area. And what will happen, that this will help you in pressing your this will help you in feeling all the bones that are present in your chest cavity. When you press over here, feel your chest cavity, you will find that there is a strong bone right in the middle of it. And then you can check on the sides of your body, like you can see over here, and you will be able to count few of these bones which are curved, right? These are your ribs. So in this activity, first of all, take in a deep breath, hold it for a while, and then what you're going to do is feel your chest cavity and count the ribs. So you can count as many as ribs as possible. These ribs are the bony structure which are curved, right? What is the exact structure of it? Let's study. But this is something which you can do to understand that where all the ribs are located, and also it will give you a little idea about how many ribs are there in your body, right? So to understand the rib and the rib cage, let's understand first of all that what are the different parts of the rib cage and what is its importance. When you will feel the ribs in your chest, you will see that the ribs in your chest, you will feel that the ribs in your chest are bent, right? So these ribs are, if you look at this image over here, you will see that these ribs, this is what? This is your backbone, right? This part over here is the backbone, and this is called as the chest bone, right? So this part over here is the chest bone, right? And over here, this part is the backbone. So these ribs over here, these are your ribs that are bent. Why they are bent? Because at the back they are joined with the backbone, and in the front they are joined with the chest bone, right? So these are curved in this form. And over here you can see there are two ribs over here. Those are the floating ribs, right? Why they are known as the floating ribs? The reason is that they are not attached to any they are not attached to the chest bone that is present in front over here. So when you feel, you will find this is a very solid bone. This is the chest bone that is quite solid. And when you feel at the sides, you will feel that within the ribs there are spaces in between. So you will be able to count each rib, right? When you do that activity, you will have a clear, you can make a mental image of how your rib cage looks like. Now this is a diagram, and this is the X-ray that is showing the rib cage. This over here, you can see this part over here, if you can observe, this is showing the backbone, and in the middle there is a chest bone, and over here you are able to see the ribs, and in between them there is space, right? So you can count how many ribs are there, and these are the two floating ribs which are not, these are two pairs of floating ribs which are not attached to the chest bone, they are only attached to the backbone. In this way, these ribs are joined together in this way, forming a cage, and that is why this structure over here is called as the rib cage. It plays a very important role. This rib cage protects important organs. What are those important organs? They protect lungs and heart. So these are two very vital organs in our body which is protected by the rib cage. Again, understand students, why is it called a cage? Because these ribs are joined at the back from the backbone, and in the front they are joined at the chest bone, forming a cage-like structure, and within this cage the lungs and heart are protected, right? So how many total ribs can you count? So if you count how many ribs you are able to count in this diagram, so there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So there are 12 pairs of ribs. That means total how many? 24, in which 4 ribs, that is 2 pairs, are called as the floating ribs. The reason is they are not attached to the chest bone. So rib cage is formed of total 24 ribs, 1 chest bone and backbone, right? So this whole structure is the rib cage, and the importance again of this structure is to protect. The importance is that it protects the chest cavity within which we have lung and heart, right? Now, moving on, let's talk about another important part of our body, of our skeleton, called as the backbone. This is again a very important structure which helps us in forming an erect posture, right? To feel your backbone, you can take the help of your friend. You can ask your friend to stand like this. He should little bit he should stress his body, and he should stand like this, so that you can feel the backbone throughout the back, right? And you will be able to see that this is a structure. When you feel it, you will be able to see this is a structure made up of very small bones. Now, this is how your backbone looks like. This backbone is made up of smaller, this whole backbone is made up of small bones. Why is it so? Why is backbone not a straight bone like we see over here in your thigh bone? We know that thigh bone is a straight bone. And in this case, although we are saying that backbone helps in maintaining an erect posture, but still it is made up of smaller bones. The reason for that is that if suppose your backbone was a single bone running from this part to the your lower part of your body, you wouldn't be able to bend down. Whenever something falls, you bend down and you pick it up, right? You have a little flexibility. You can, if you do certain exercises, you might observe that you are able to bend forward until you touch your toes. Also, you are able to go back to a certain extent, right? The reason for this flexibility is the small bones, or which are forming your back, right? So what are these small bones called as? As you can see, these are the small bones that we are talking about. These small bones are called as the vertebrae, right? These are very small, and these are only this big. So only you can see how small these bones are, and they are arranged one above the other, giving a certain flexibility to your body. This is how the backbone looks like. It has a small sigmoid structure, that is, it is a little S-shape. Again, the reason for this S-shape is to provide a certain flexibility to the body, right? So these vertebrae are total 33 in number. How many? There are total 33 vertebrae, and together with your ribs, these backbones form the rib cage, right? So this is what we call as the backbone. Remember, backbone is made up of small 33 bones that are known as the vertebrae.